I'd like to acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of this land. I'd also like to pay my respect to Gadigal elders, past, present, and emerging. My name is Jake Witchard. I'm a proud Dunghutti man from Kempsey on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and I'm in my final year of a law degree at UTS. I'm currently interning at Lend-Lease with their group legal team. I'd like to begin my story tonight by saying that I'm yet to meet another intern who has lived a perfect life. I know that every single one of us has our own personal challenges and trials, and that for some of us, there are days when it's hard to get out of bed. There are days when we wish we could pull the covers back up and hibernate. But we have a choice. We have a choice to stay in bed and keep the covers over us, or we have a choice to get up and move forward. In Kempsey, my hometown, it's fair to say moving forward is no easy task. When growing up, the main income to my household was Centrelink, and although I did well at school and had big dreams, the idea of me going to university and getting a decent job was something I never thought would be possible. From a young age, my grandmother would tell me stories about what life was like in Kempsey. She would tell me the horrors that happened in Kinchela Boys' Home, of how the Kempsey Hospital used to have its own ward for Aboriginal people. She would tell me of the segregation that existed in swimming pools, in buses, and in cinemas. This was a world that existed in the not-so-distant past, a world full of attitudes that are still very much prevalent in this country today. Hearing my grandmother share these stories, not as a victim, but as someone who used the pride she had in her culture to overcome this discrimination, has not only shaped my identity, but has inspired me to pursue my dream of a university education. But I knew that achieving this dream wasn't going to be easy. At this point in my life, no one in my family had finished high school, let alone studied at university. I had nobody to show me the way, or to teach me how to break the cycle of welfare and unemployment that I was born into. And although I had few role models, I still believed that I had the potential to get there. I wanted to be the one who paved the way for my little brothers, to show them no matter what their dreams were, nothing was out of reach. With the support of my parents, I put in the hard yards throughout my high school years and performed well academically. Before I knew it, I had only months until I would be the first person in my family to graduate high school. But before this dream became a reality, my world was turned upside down. My father became very sick, and within a period of 4 months, he passed away. Suddenly, my dreams didn't seem so close anymore. After my dad died, I spent my final months of high school in hospital. Physically and mentally, I became very unwell. Despite the pain of my father's death, I knew I couldn't give up, and I didn't. I'm the first person in my family to not only finish high school, but to also be accepted into university. Finally, my dream had come true, and I was off to the big city. It took a while until I actually felt at ease here, but everything that had unsettled me about Sydney in the beginning, the hectic pace, the constant noise, the large number of people, soon became part of my daily routine. I found comfort in spending time at Jumbana, the Indigenous House of Learning at my university, which soon became a home away from home. At Jumbana, I would study and socialise almost every day with other Indigenous students, many of whom I now consider to be my family. It wasn't until I finished my first semester that I heard about CareerTrackers. In my hometown, there are high levels of unemployment, and finding entry-level jobs is hard enough. So the idea of working for a large corporate organisation seemed impossible, daunting. Having had no previous work experience, you can imagine my excitement and nerves when CareerTrackers presented me with the possibility of an internship at John Holland. The weeks prior to my interview were spent preparing and researching the company. I'll never forget receiving the phone call a week later letting me know I'd got the job. I'll never forget the excitement and how proud my mum was when I told her the good news. Soon I began working as an intern in contracts and procurement. With the support of my CEO, Nev Nichols, I spent each of my university breaks interning at John Holland, eventually making my way into the company's legal counsel. At this point in my life, my future looked bright. Despite losing my father, I was at university, I'd secured an internship at an amazing company, and with the support of my friends, I was passing my subjects. I felt like nothing could stop me, until, just like my dad, my mother was also diagnosed with cancer. The months ahead were difficult to say the least. I tried my best to cope with full-time study, part-time work, and my mother's illness while thinking of my little brothers. When the doctors told us Mum didn't have long left to live, I was shattered. When you're close to both of your parents, it's hard to imagine life without them. When my mother became very unwell, she was flown to Sydney to undergo treatment at Prince of Wales Hospital. I would catch the bus over to the hospital, sit with Mum while she had chemo, and try to get through my uni readings for the lectures I'd have that night. As sick as my mother was, it was important for her that I continued with my studies. She knew for me it was the key to a brighter future. My mum was buried in January 2015, 9 days before this very conference and gala dinner 2 years ago. I knew that despite what I was going through, keeping on the road to success meant not missing LDI. I remember after Mum passed away telling my friends and CareerTracker interns that I still wanted to come to this conference. They said I was dreaming, that I needed to take time out, and there was no way I was going to make it to LDI. I told them I was coming. So they supported me. They packed, drove to Kempsey, and stood strong to be my support. A few days later, they drove me to Sydney, and although hard, it was one of the best LDIs I've ever attended. I want my fellow interns here tonight to take it from me that these internships are important. The CareerTrackers community is important, not only here and now, but for our collective futures. No matter what life throws at you, keep on this road. It's hard, bumpy, and not perfect, but it's leading Indigenous Australia to a powerful place. How do I know this? 5 years ago, I was a kid living in a country town with big dreams. Last week, I presented to the global board of Lend-Lease, one of Australia's largest companies. And today I stand here, sharing my story in front of 2,000 people. I want to take this opportunity to thank my friends for supporting me on this journey. And although I know they don't want me to mention their names, I'm going to do it anyway. So to Clark Donovan at Denton's, John Kirby at EIC Activities, Barbie Lee Kirby at Qantas, Cody Galligan at Red Cross, Kajim King at Henry Davis York, Aaron Louth at Lend-Lease, Jesse Wright at Commonwealth Bank, and Rebecca Hatfield, who's now a student at CareerTrackers. Thank you. To the staff at CareerTrackers, and especially my student advisor, Peter Lee, I want to thank you for your ongoing support and for being such an important part of my personal and professional development. To my sponsoring company, Lend-Lease, and to my mentors, Wendy Lee and Kate Perumal, thank you for your guidance and challenging me throughout this internship. And thank you to my family and community, to my little brothers and to my parents. Without you, I would not be standing here today. I want to finish off by saying that there's no clear road to success. Life will throw you curveballs when you least expect it. What I've learned coming out of this is that the key is in daily growth and sticking it out when times are tough. The key is being tougher than your life is. And this sometimes means using your pain as the fuel that will drive your success. Thank you.